Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Welcome to part two of the greatest love story of all times from the book of Ruth. The greatest. Man, listen, let me tell you something. This story is so powerful and it's so awesome. I need everybody to sit up straight, put away all your distractions, and I want you to pay close attention because you need to listen. You gotta listen. Ladies and gentlemen, this story is the greatest, but I want to make sure that you understand a lot of the precepts that are followed in this story. So remember, part one, we ended where Boaz came home, and he noticed Ruth out in the field, and he inquired to his servants, and he said, "Hey, who is that damsel out there in the field?" Y'all remember that? He said, "Who is that beautiful young lady that's out there in the field picking up wheat? Who is she?" And so the servants had to tell him, said, "Listen, that's that Moabite. That's that Moabite woman who came in. She's the daughter-in-law of Naomi. She came back with Naomi back to Bethlehem." Now watch this, boys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay close attention. And so remember, y'all, there's three characters I want y'all to pay close attention to. So we already know that Naomi is one of them. Naomi is the mother-in-law. And we know that Ruth is the daughter-in-law. And then there's Boaz. So Boaz comes and he inquires. He wants to know, who is that young lady out there in the field? So the servants told him. And so y'all remember, boys and girls, so then what happened is, so Ruth now, she comes over. And Ruth, she comes over. I'm in chapter 2, verse 7. Watch this. She comes over and she said, "I pray ye." She tells him, she says, "I pray you that you allow me to glean. Allow me to pick up after the reapers among the sheaves." Watch this, y'all. So she's asking, can she continue to pick up wheat and grain off of the ground that they drop behind while they're harvesting the grain? Watch this. So then she says to him, she says, "So she came and has continued from early in the morning until now, except when she rested a little in the house." So here it is, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, watch this. This was a hard-working young lady. She was a hard-working woman, y'all. But I want you to pay close attention. So look at what happens next. So then Boaz tells her in verse 8, let's go to verse 8, chapter 2. Boaz says to Ruth, he said, "Listen, my daughter. Listen. Do not go and glean another field or leave this one, but stay here close by my maidens." Watch this, y'all. Already, y'all, listen, he has already granted her favor. She has already been granted favor and access. So he tells her to stay here. He don't want her to go to no other field. He doesn't want her to leave his sight. He says, "Stay right here and glean from this field only. Stay next to my maidens, because my maidens are my right hand. You can stay right next to them and they're going to take care of you." Look at what happened in verse 9. In verse 9, he says, "Watch which field they reap from and follow them." So he also gives us the insight. He gives her the insight on what to do and strategize and how to operate. So listen. So he tells her, he says, "Listen, watch which field they reap from and then follow them. Have I not charged," listen, watch this. "Have I not charged the young men," watch this, "not to molest you?" So listen. So he's already told the men. He's already told his boys, he said, "Listen, don't touch her. Don't molest her. Don't bother her. I don't even want y'all to look at." Listen, watch this, y'all. Listen, come on. Y'all got to follow me on this. The greatest love story of all times. Remember, she's a foreigner. She's a stranger in this land. She is here reaping harvest and grain because she's trying to feed her family. She's trying to feed her mother-in-law, Naomi. So she needs to go out there in the field and try to work and try to bring food home. Listen to this. So here it is. She's already given access. She's already giving favor. Now she's close to the maidens. She's already in the house. So it says, "Which field they may reap from, I want you to follow them." She's already told the men, don't touch it. She's off limits. "And when you are thirsty," he told her, he says, "and when you are thirsty, I want you to go to the vessels and I want you to drink what the young men have drawn." Listen, in other words, what I'm telling you, listen, I don't want you to come out. I don't want you to feel like you're strange. I don't want you to feel like you don't belong. I want you to drink what they drink. When they decide to draw water from the well to drink, and they're thirsty, you drink from the same water they drink from. Listen, in verse 10, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you got to listen to this. Naomi, listen, Ruth was so humble. She fell on her face, and she bowed herself to the ground, and she said unto him, unto Boaz, and she said, listen, I don't know what I've done, she said, but what I have done, what have I done to find favor in your eyes? And how you should have noticed me. What have I done? I am a foreigner. I don't even belong here. I'm not a Bethlehem. I'm not a Judah. I'm not a Jew. I'm not an Israelite. Listen, how did I find favor in your eyes? She asked him. Look at this. In verse 11, and Boaz said to her, he said, listen, I have been made fully aware of all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of her husband and the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and mother land of your birth and have come to a people unknown to you before. The Lord, he says this, now watch this blessing that he speaks over her life. He says, may the Lord recompense you for what you have done, and full reward be given to you by the Lord and the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come and taken refuge. Oh God. Listen, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep going, y'all. I got to keep going because I only got 13 minutes on this one. But I want y'all to follow this, boys and girls. And look at verse 12. Verse 12, chapter 2. Then he says to her, so now y'all understand that the Lord, he says, no, I'm sorry, that was verse 12 we've already read. So now you see that, y'all, the favor of God has already rested upon this lady. The favor of God has already rested upon her through Boaz, y'all. Watch this. In verse 13, then she said, let me find favor in your sight, my Lord, for you have comforted me. You have spoken to the heart of your maidservants, though I am not as one of your maidservants. And at mealtime, Boaz said to her, come here and eat of the bread and dip your morsel in the sour wine mixed with oil. Listen, watch this, y'all. And she sat beside the reapers, and he passed her some parched grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over for Naomi. Boys and girls, now she's sitting at the table. Now she's eating with them. She's eating with the servants, the reapers. She's eating with Boaz. She's at the table. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling y'all, if you don't see this, this is like so beautiful. Remember, we're talking about a young lady, a young woman who lost her husband, who decided to follow her mother-in-law to a foreign place that she know not of, who made a commitment and a vow and said, listen, your God shall be my God, your people shall be my people. And now here it is. She's in a stranger's property, in a stranger's land, and she's granted all of this favor, all of this divine favor, y'all. And in verse 15, and when she got up to glean, she was getting ready to go back to the field to work again. Boaz ordered his young men, let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. Do not reproach her. I want her to have full access. I want her to go wherever she wants to go. Don't stop her. Don't say anything to her. Matter of fact, look at this in verse 16. Listen. And then in verse 16, he instructed his servants. He said, listen, and let fall some hundreds for her on purpose, and let them lie there for her to glean. And do not rebuke her. Don't check her. Don't deny her. Don't say anything to her. Do what I tell you to do. Drop them on purpose so she can get them. Drop them on purpose so that she can glean and have a lot left to take home to her family. Look at what it says in verse 17. And so she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, and she's about an ephah. Listen, watch this, of barley. So she has a whole heap of barley. That's an ephah of barley is like a whole roll, a whole stalk of barley left over. Watch this. And then in verse 18, and she took it up and she went into the town. She showed her mother-in-law what she had gleaned, and she has also brought forth and gave her the food that she had reserved after she was satisfied. Boys and girls, listen, you talk about love. Oh my goodness. Not only, y'all, listen, that she brought the wheat that she gleaned and worked out there in the field for days for, but she also brought the food. Remember the food she had left over? She brought some food that was left over after she was satisfied and full. She saved the leftover. You know how we take our doggy bag home? We take our leftovers from the restaurant. Well, anyway, she saved hers for her mother-in-law. And look at verse 19. Verse 19. Her mother-in-law said to her, where have you gleaned today? Where have you been today? You got all this stuff. Watch this, y'all. And she asked, she said, where have you gleaned today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who noticed you. So Ruth told her the name in which she worked today is Boaz. This is the first time Ruth told her mother-in-law the name of the person who land that she's been gleaning off of. Look at this. And verse 20, look at this, y'all. In verse 20, and Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, blessed be he of the Lord, who has not only seized his kindred to his living and to the dead. Listen, and Naomi said to her, the man is a near relative of ours, one who has the right to redeem us, according to Leviticus chapter 25, verse 25. Boys and girls, and Ruth the Moabite said, he said to me also, stay close to the young men until they have harvested many entire crop. And Naomi said to Ruth, it is good, my daughter, for you go out with his maidens, lest in any other field you be molested. Listen, watch this. In verse 23, so she kept close to the maidens of Boaz, gleaning until the end of barley and wheat harvest. And she lived with her mother-in-law. Watch this. So boys and girls, let me tell you something. That is the end of chapter 2. Part 3, we will start on chapter 3. We will start on chapter 3 on part 3. Boys and girls, I want you to remember that when God is in your life and when you trust God with your life, the favor of God shall follow you. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're here under the sound of my voice and you want to accept Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, you can. Accept him in your heart and believe that he died on the cross for you. On behalf of Shepherd of God Christian Academy, I'll see y'all next week for part 3. Part 3 of the greatest love story of all times from the book of Ruth. God bless you all. God keep you.